Welcome to another episode of 10 Count. That's where we do a top 10 of a wrestling category. Last month we did our top 10 best WrestleManias, so it only seems fair to do the 10 worst WrestleManias in our personal opinion. NX Steve is in the hot seat with me, and NX Steve, how did you feel about making the list for the 10 worst WrestleManias of all time?
Is it bad that this list was surprisingly easier than doing the 10 best?
No, I got this done in much quicker time. There are a few WrestleManias that really stand out of being really, really bad. It's actually harder, I think, on when you get these early entries in, what makes the sort of 7 to 10 mark. But I think I've narrowed it down, and weirdly enough, I feel like I've got it right.
Yeah, so do I. Like someone like I think you could easily pick a lot of these to be like the first 10 WrestleManias, but I for me, I've not personally gone with just like it's a poor card. I've gone with like legit reasons as to why I think these are the worst WrestleManias.
Interesting. Well, I'll tell you, without further ado, let's dive in then with what we think is the 10th worst WrestleMania of all time. 3, 2, 1. Oh, interesting. Very close. Very close. WrestleMania 33. Go for me. Why is it the 10th worst?
It's just generally the longest WrestleMania. It's the last one night WrestleMania. It's over 5 hours long. It's on my list purely for that reason. It's too much wrestling to watch in one sitting. I think it's 5 hours. I'm not even sure if that's including the pre-show. It's just way too long, and it's the reason why they don't do one night WrestleManias anymore.
It's quite a long WrestleMania. I mean, for me, I remember the good parts of it. Obviously, is the Hardy Boys return. Obviously, AJ.
There are loads of good parts.
But the thing is, though, I feel outside of those couple of things, it's a bit of an underwhelming Mania. I mean, Jericho and KO should have been for a world title. It wasn't, and it was a bit underwhelming as being the United States Championship. We had the insects in the ring for Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. We also had the main event of Roman Reigns and Undertaker, which, let's be fair, didn't quite go to plan. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. It is one of the weaker WrestleManias. You might hear it again later in this list.
Oh, really? Okay, that's always good to know.
Absolutely. Well, for me, WrestleMania 34 is what I consider to be the 10th worst WrestleMania of all time, because my reasoning for it is that I think the first 4 matches of this show are fine. That's my personal opinion. I think the opener is one of the most underrated matches of all time for WrestleMania when it comes to Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, and The Miz. Despite the fact that Asuka is fed to Charlotte and she loses, I think the match is very good. I would argue Ronda Rousey's debut match in WWE team with cutting against Triple H and Stephanie was fantastic. I even would actually say that could even arguably be match of the night, depending on what way you want to look at it from a sports entertainment perspective or a pro wrestling perspective. But after that, this show kind of falls and falls significantly quickly. We have the AJ Styles Shinsuke Nakamura match that doesn't quite go to plan. It's not Wrestle Kingdom. The low blow and heel turn as well from Shinsuke after the match as well just isn't what we wanted. Speaking of what we didn't want Braun Strowman to have a mystery tag team partner as a 10-year-old, spending about 15 minutes looking for someone in the crowd before picking selective Nicholas to go and win the tag team championships from Raw against the Bar as well. That didn't help, who were one of the top teams at the time. And again, what we didn't want, another Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns WrestleMania main event. At that time period, Roman Reigns wasn't the Roman Reigns that we watch today. And to be honest, I feel like, a lot of people were just booing this main event. They wanted it done. If anything, it's a good watch just because you want to see how much the fans turn on it. It's not what you want to see for a main event of your WrestleMania.
Oh, don't worry. This WrestleMania will be coming back up when it gets round to my turn, but it's not my number 10. But it's definitely on my list. Yeah, dude, like, I don't like this WrestleMania. I think for me, aside from the opening match, there's not a lot I take away from this WrestleMania.
3, 2, 1.
Oh.
Yeah, just to finish off with WrestleMania 33, like we said in the last entry, all the reasons of why it's one of the worst WrestleManias of all time. I just think it's one worse WrestleMania, worse than you do.
Yeah, that's fair. It's like I said, it's just for the fact it's so long. I mean, there are some plus sides to take out of it, but there's some questionable booking, and it's just so long, man.
Absolutely. For you, WrestleMania 4.
Dude, this is kind of along the lines of the last one. They do for some reason a tournament at WrestleMania. It makes this show stupidly longer than it needs to be, especially when you're in like the fourth iteration of WrestleMania. This is kind of like, I think this was the early stages of what not to do at WrestleMania, so that's why I've gone with number 4.
3, 2, 1. We're closer on some of these than we were on the last time. You mentioned WrestleMania 4. I completely agree. This show never ends. I mean, seriously, what's supposed to be a 16-man tournament, technically it's a 14-man tournament. Hogan and Andre get a bye because Hogan was the champion, and of course we had the main event where Andre was proclaimed the champion and wanted to present the title to Ted DiBiase, which led to the title become vacant. That's why we had this tournament at WrestleMania. Now, let's be fair, if this was Survivor Series Deadly Game, that would be enough for the show. There are 5 more matches on the side of this tournament. It never ends. Seriously, it feels like a 9-hour WrestleMania. And we know what they feel like because we've gone through them in the 30s. It's just not what you need at this stage of WrestleMania, albeit there's a good story at the end of it. And that's what saved this from being higher, with Randy Savage winning the WWF Championship for the first time.
Yeah, dude, it's... That's it. I've said before, it's again at the early stages of what not to do at WrestleMania, so I totally agree with you.
WrestleMania 2 for you.
Dude, in multiple cities just doesn't work, does it? Again, another one of these where like they've learned very early on that this isn't what we should not do for it. For a fan in attendance, it was very underwhelming because you only got a third of a show that you were supposed to see. Yeah, and it's the reason why they've never done it again and probably never will do it again. I mean, maybe at some point in the future, now they do a night 1 and a night 2, they could do WrestleMania in 2 different cities. It's possible, because in that way but then again, I don't think they would, just because you unless they tell you what's going to be on each show, you've got to try and balance the match cards. You've got to make sure both shows sell out, but it is a possibility.
We're giving WWE ideas here.
Oh, no.
3, 2, 1. Interesting. I want to know about WrestleMania 16.
Aside from Cat versus Terry, every match on this card is a multi-man match, and I think it's honestly the most desperate you'll get at trying to get everyone on the show. Like, it feels like they had no real stories in terms of one-on-one for this WrestleMania, and it just feels like everything had to include multiple people. Like, there probably is stories in there, but like there was no one-on-one clashes. There's no Cody versus Roman, there's no Hogan versus Rock, there's no Austin versus Rock. Do you know what I mean? It's all multi-man participations, and it just, like I said, feels like you're just desperate to get everyone on the card at this point.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like, what says get everyone on the card more than a hardcore championship scramble with about 16 people fighting at ringside to get pinfalls as quickly as possible? Yeah, totally. I mean, WrestleMania 2000 is not on my list, but I do feel and see where you're coming from. In a year where WWE was near on perfect, their probably weakest show of the whole calendar year was WrestleMania. Like you say, I think simply just because of the fact they suffered by trying to get every single person on the card. For me, WrestleMania 32, I mean, this show just never ends as well. It's a running theme at the moment here, and obviously when you're looking forward to a main event of Roman Reigns and his suckering sabotage worst, where you really don't want to see him win the title, going against Triple H, which, let's be fair, just it felt boring. It felt like, okay, we're finally going to get the moment that Vince wants where Roman wins the title. It was almost anyone else but this at that point. And obviously when you look further down the card as well, there's a lot of injuries on this show. A lot of people didn't make the show, so I think a lot of things had to be done on the fly, which probably, I suppose, in hindsight, you should look and say, well, at least WrestleMania happened. Do you know what I mean? Like, they managed to make something out of it, out of a bad situation, but not everything is saved. I mean, Undertaker versus Shane McMahon in Hell in a Cell, it's not one that lives high in the memory for me, although the stakes of the match were perhaps a bit more exciting in its time period. WrestleMania 32 for me, it's just not one that's great. Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose. Brock wanted the night off, clearly did not sell for Ambrose at all in that gimmick match that they had. So yeah, this one, it just isn't a one for me.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's not the greatest in terms of I don't know, maybe even fan service, but yeah, I know what you mean. Totally, I agree with you. It's not very good at all. Number 32.
3, 2, 1. Oh, okay. WrestleMania 27. Tell me all about it.
Honestly, it's BS basically, mate. You look at that main event, The Miz beating John Cena. There's something that The Miz has never lived down in. It's kind of, well, never lets you forget about it. And it's like, okay, you did once, but then the match before, Snooki is in your penultimate match at a WrestleMania. Some Geordie Shore, whatever it is, Jersey Shore contestant. She's in your penultimate match. I'm just going through the card now. Sorry, Michael Cole against Jerry the King Lawler. Like, why are we doing this stuff at a WrestleMania? Like, is again something else that Michael Cole never lets you forget. It's just he's undefeated at WrestleMania. I think still that's his only match. I can't believe it. But the rest of the card is just not great. And like I said, just putting a celebrity in not even like a decent wrestling celebrity, just a celebrity in your second to last match on a WrestleMania card, I think is just an embarrassment, and it almost just throws shade at the rest of the roster card that you're someone who isn't a wrestler is getting a second to last match in WrestleMania. It's a joke.
Yeah, fair play. I mean, to be fair, I was a big Jersey Shore fan back in the day. You know, Jim Talon Laundry, the GTL. But yeah, I mean, for me, I can understand why you've gone with that with this WrestleMania. Like you said, I mean, with Miz, it's kind of like an afterthought, really, a little bit when it comes to it. You know, his own WrestleMania main event that he wins. So yeah, not a good one. But we might hear more about it later. For me, WrestleMania 13 is in the list, and yes, I know this is the WrestleMania that has Bret the Hitman Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, the most perfect WrestleMania match near of all time, the double turn that was done to perfection. However, the rest of the card, my God, it is not a good time period outside of this currently, in my opinion, in WWE. I mean, we have... Was it the Sultan against Rocky Maivia for the Intercontinental Championship? It's not even The Rock at this point. This is during the Die Rocky Die phase where everyone's booing him. It's Undertaker versus Sid in the main event. Yes, the one where Sid shits himself. It's just not a good WrestleMania outside of that one match. It's a forgettable WrestleMania. And had we not had Bret Hart versus Austin on this list, I can promise you, unlucky for some, the number 13, this would be a lot higher in the list.
Yeah, I mean, it's not on my list, and for that reason alone, is Bret Austin saves it for me. I think that if you have one of the greatest wrestling matches in WrestleMania history, I can kind of forgive you for not being on, for not putting it on this top 10 list. But I know what you mean, dude. It is a very meh card, and again, it's a lot of the reasons why you can insert a lot of the sort of first 10 on this list is that the card isn't particularly great. But for me, like I said, that one match, it saves it for me, and it's the one reason when it didn't make my number 10. But I respect it, man.
3, 2, 1. Nice. Well, we spoke about WrestleMania 32 once. Give me some more.
This is not a fan service WrestleMania. This is probably, if you are a fan of wrestling, do not watch this WrestleMania. Aside from Zack Ryder winning the IC title in the ladder match, the rest of the results they're not for you. It's a very heel orientated winning WrestleMania where none of your favorites pick up any of the wins. And the fact that Shane McMahon has a match against The Undertaker, I think is a joke. Shane McMahon famously getting a run of matches at WrestleMania is a joke in itself, and I think putting him against The Undertaker is the biggest one of them all.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment you say there when it comes to that show. It's not one that lives strongly in the memory. Of course, there was also the classic with Rock versus Eric Rowan that lasted about 6 seconds as well. That was very impromptu. Yeah. Also, WrestleMania 29 for me hits the top 5. Obviously, again, there's one really good match on this show: The Undertaker versus CM Punk. You'd argue, perhaps maybe in hindsight, would have been a good WrestleMania main event for Punk. Might have kept him in the company for all them years just that bit longer. But twice in a lifetime, The Rock versus John Cena main events this show. Kind of, not as good as the year previously, in my personal opinion. Your World Heavyweight title match is Alberto Del Rio versus Jack Swagger. Need I say more on that? This is not a good WrestleMania. Fandango making his debut, defeating Chris Jericho. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to WrestleMania's New Jersey, this was a very disappointing WrestleMania, in my personal opinion. There's not much to scream and shout about apart from Taker versus Punk.
Yeah, I thought that I seriously considered this for like one of my lower options, like a 10 or something. But I think like there is pulling power in this, and there's kind of stuff that people want to see. And like I said, Taker versus Punk is a pretty big deal. And I think I can understand where you're coming from, especially with Jack Swagger versus Del Rio, because I couldn't think of a worse World Championship match in my life on a WrestleMania card than that. But yeah, no, I respect it. I know what you mean. It's one that doesn't make the top 10 for me.
3, 2, 1.
Ooh.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, WrestleMania 11, number 4.
It's the worst main event ever in WrestleMania history, isn't it? I think we can all agree with that. And the fact that they did it, I can't justify it being higher, but it is a pretty bad reason. Like, there are 3 other Manias that I think personally are worse. But if you put on the worst WrestleMania match ever, or worst WrestleMania main event, then I think that deserves to be in this list. And that is purely for that reason that it's your headline show. It's the 11th year. You should have it on a tee now as to who to book as the main event.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of fair comments made there. You might hear me talk more about it later in this video, so I'm going to reserve it for that moment, if you don't mind. WrestleMania 27 for me, then entry number 4. Like we mentioned already, The Miz wins the main event of WrestleMania, but he's the afterthought in his own main event. It's all about building for the following year's WrestleMania of John Cena versus The Rock. The one bright spot in this show is The Undertaker versus Triple H. That is a decent match. However, like you said, we have to sit through Michael Cole versus Jerry the King Lawler for half an hour. That's bloody painful in itself. This WrestleMania things just don't hit the way that they should. I mean, by this point, we have an 8-man tag team match, I think, with the Core against Kofi Kingston, Santino Marella, and a couple of people that escape my mind right now. Lasts 3 minutes. It's just not great. WrestleMania should be more. The Rock had just come back as well at this point after being away for like 7 years. This should have been a more exciting, more happy, more hype, but just underwhelming, under-delivered. Edge's last match for many, many years against Alberto Del Rio, but again, Del Rio going for the championship. I suppose in 2011 it felt like the right thing to do, but in hindsight, it really wasn't. So, WrestleMania 27 for me, I think it's the modern wrestling fans' worst WrestleMania of all time, but for me, only hits the number 4 spot because I'm a bit more old school than that.
And Snooki was also in the second to last match.
That's true, although I'm going to give Snooki... I thought Snooki did okay.
No. Shouldn't be in the penultimate match at WrestleMania, no.
Fair enough. 3, 2, 1. WrestleMania 15. Interesting. Tell me. I want to know about that.
If you depict someone being hung from a cell while the cage is being hired, that automatic. If you depict murder on your show, sorry, you've automatically lost me. Regardless of whatever else is on that card, if you depict hanging someone on a pay-per-view, nope, not for me.
Fair comment indeed. Fair play. I have no counter argument. And to be fair, the boss man wasn't the nicest person. Obviously, went on to do Kennel from Hell, cooking someone's dog and invading a funeral later that year. But obviously not a great look in 1999. I can understand that entirely. I think for people, traditionally WrestleMania 9 is seen as the worst. I'm going to bring it back on the screen because I think a lot of people are going to be like, what, number 3? Only number 3? This is Hulk Hogan's politicking best. This is WrestleMania in Las Vegas. There is so many things wrong from this WrestleMania, and the fact that I've got 2 more will speak it even further. Look, Bret Hart versus Yokozuna, the main event for this show. Obviously, Yoko wins the title. Hogan politics into himself to win the title 2 minutes later. it is a disaster. It is an absolute shit show. The fact as well that the Mega Maniacs don't win the tag team titles earlier in the show, and that's a DQ, is not great. There are so many DQs on this show in general. Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez as well is another one. We have countouts galore as well. Shawn Michaels walking out the IC title match against Tatanka. Lex Luger versus Mr. Perfect is a double countout as well. I think the one shining match on this show is the Steiner brothers versus the Head Shrinkers, and even Scott Steiner tries to botch the blimmin' Frankensteiner for the win. It's just a bad WrestleMania. It is saved by the commentary. Bobby Heenan is having some of his finest work on that show, and the fact that they're all dressed in togas as well. Jim Ross's debut. Aesthetically looking at in Vegas, it does look quite pleasing with the outdoor stadium. The Coliseum feel about it is quite a nice look. I'm a bit nostalgic to that as a child. However, as a show, it is unforgivable. I've since rebooked it, and that video is available on the channel. And damn it, I'm going to actually attach it to the end of this video, because if you want to see how this show should have been booked, you can go and see that at the end of this one.
Dude, look, aesthetically, it's one of the most memorable WrestleManias, just for, like I said, being outside the Caesar's Palace thing. But like you said, everything on this show is horrific. The Hogan winning the title BS at the end of the show, Gonzalez in that awful skin fur suit that he's wearing, and just everything else you said with the show. It's not great. It's not booked well. It's a very bad WrestleMania. Like you said, there's one decent match and they almost botched that.
3, 2, 1. Wow, okay. WrestleMania 9. Let's carry on the conversation there. If there's anything more you'd like to add.
There's not much I can add to it, really. It's just a bad... It's a political WrestleMania that famously just doesn't work. And now that we're 30 odd years later, and the amount of stuff we know about the politics that Hogan used to pull, it's so much crap. Like, as a kid, probably loved it to death, because, you know, Hogan, yeah, the American hero, comes out and wins the title off of the big bad Yokozuna. Yeah, we all know the truth about that now. It's horrible, mate. But I'm tell you what, I'm interested to see your thoughts on number 2, the fact that it made it to number 2 for you.
It is simply the fact of the 3 locations. I think the show is... like, number 1 is the experiment, and like what I love about WrestleMania 1 compared, even though like it's hard to connect with it the same, you know, it's before my time, and the show is fine, but like it's got the idea of celebrities, stakes, star power, sports entertainment, the pro wrestling, everything about that. They tried to amp the ante for WrestleMania 2 by 3 different locations. Like you say, everyone gets a third of the show, so the crowd is like dead throughout the whole thing, because they don't know when they should be paying attention, when they should not be, it seems, when it comes to, you know, all the stuff going around it. But like, when it comes to the matches as well, like I think one main event was a battle royal somewhere with a couple of duff matches. The boxing match with Roddy Piper and Mr. T was awful as well. I mean, you don't want a boxing match at WrestleMania. The highlight of the show probably is Hogan versus King Kong Bundy, and let's be fair, if you paid for WrestleMania tickets to go on to the other 2 locations and you didn't get that match, you're probably pissed off. So yeah, like you said, this has not been something that's been recreated much since. Certainly has not been for WrestleMania. They did do it for Raw 25 at the Barclays Center and the Manhattan Center, and that also surprisingly was a shit show as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't think WWE will or should ever do that again. But like you say, you did put a good idea that could be seen as a good idea into existence. But let's hope that doesn't happen. But yeah, WrestleMania 2 for me, it's a dud. In a way, they should be forgiven a little bit. Still early days, but I think that this was just an idea that was just too adventurous for Vince McMahon at that time.
Yeah, it's still too adventurous today. Don't ever do it.
3, 2, 1. Right, I'll tell you what, because I know you're going to rant. So I'm going to let people just savor that and just give you a couple of moments to gather and collect those thoughts to let it out perfectly. But for me, WrestleMania 11, It is so dull, and it's one of the shortest WrestleManias ever as well. It's 2 hours and 11 minutes, and it feels like 5 hours. It's not a good nothing. There's no good match on the show. Bret the Hitman Hart is on this show against Bob Backlund in an I Quit match, and even that's a bad match. You've mentioned as well previously about Lawrence Taylor being the main event against Bam Bam Bigelow and it not being one of the best main events in WrestleMania history. It certainly wasn't. It's probably, like you said, it's one of the worst, but it's one of the better matches on this show, and that tells you everything. This has priority over the WWF Championship, which of course was Diesel versus Shawn Michaels. Had Pamela Anderson, Jenny McCarthy as well at ringside, still though was bumped for the NFL player in the main event. Clearly shows a lack of star power, clearly shows a bad time period in wrestling history. The fact that you had to use outside celebrity to make things work. Now, I know WWE has gone on to do this since, and obviously there are ways to use your celebrities, of course, and people will turn around and probably say, well, there's a Bad Bunny today, Logan Paul. Do you complain about those so much? Maybe I don't, but maybe it's different when I know there's a respect and love for the craft and they've actually spent time in the ring training for a long time, and we have more knowledge into today, and perhaps maybe they didn't main event a WrestleMania. Maybe if Logan Paul came in and debuted main eventing a WrestleMania and Bad Bunny did the same, maybe I would actually be annoyed about that too. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of it back then. I'm still not overly a fan of it now. And when you look at the show, I mean, it opens with Eli and Jacob Blue, for Christ's sakes. And you're probably screaming, who? Exactly. Yeah, this show for me is not memorable. It's boring. You could fall asleep to it. And for me, simply, if you are worse than WrestleMania 9 and WrestleMania 2, you deserve this top spot, in my opinion.
That's fair enough, man. I can't really say any more than that. Yeah, it's just very lackluster. It's the only one that I honestly put on my list because of the card mainly. Like, I think everything else I had specific reasons for. Like, if you're going to look at a card, it's definitely 11. But, right. Let's talk about WrestleMania 34 and the absolute pile of crap that this is. Aside from the kickoff show and the opening match, where that great opening match between The Miz, Seth Rollins, and Finn Balor for the IC title, the rest of this card is a pile of garbage. The fact that you have Shane McMahon on a WrestleMania card again, getting another win over this time Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, is a joke in itself. Shane McMahon should not be getting wins at WrestleMania. Like, honestly, when they put him against Taker on, and you think, oh my God, is he actually going to be the one to break the streak? There is that possibility with Shane McMahon because it's just Shane McMahon. Another boring Brock Roman main event promo that no one honestly cared about, yet was being forced down our faces. And you can honestly turn off the main event. There's no point watching it. It's boring. It's predictable. No one cares about it. AJ and Shinsuke Nakamura, a match that had so much history and so much potential to be one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time, and just under-delivers. It sucks. It's not great. It's too short. I get that they don't give you 60-minute barn burners at WrestleMania, but it just wasn't what I think a lot of people were expecting it to be. The heel turn kind of saves it, but again, I would have much preferred a quality wrestling match than a Shinsuke heel turn, because we can see years later that his heel turn hasn't worked out very well, has it? Charlotte Flair beating Asuka, breaking the streak. Vince McMahon, I purely blame for that one. Like, Asuka, Triple H had done this great build of Asuka at NXT, made her go undefeated. They bring her up to main roster. They get her to WrestleMania. We think someone's going to take Charlotte off her pedestal. No. Charlotte Flair wins lol. And finally, Braun Strowman and Nicholas winning the tag team titles off of the bar. I hate this match so much. For the fact that Braun Strowman spends the first 10 minutes trying to find this child, because, they couldn't have given the child a front row seat, which probably would have been a bit more entertaining, by going, I could beat you if I take that child there off the front row. It would have made a lot more sense. But he's actively looking for him in the crowd. And then to go on with this, go on and absolutely destroy one of the best tag teams on the roster at the time in the bar, Cesaro and Sheamus, is a joke in itself. You might as well have just buried the entire tag team division. Hated it. Do not like it. Hate WrestleMania 34. It's Uno number 1 for me. I hate the thing.
So the results then, in third place is
WrestleMania 27.
No surprise there. And then, second place,
There is no second place. It's a tie for first. Shock horror. And I think, do you know what? This kind of is the best decision to get a tie for first place. WrestleMania 9 and WrestleMania 11 joint worst WrestleManias of all time.
Do you know what? I think that will please everybody, because I'm sure there's many out there who say it's 9 or bust. And I think for those that probably will remember how bad 11 is, will actually go yes or no for that one. But I suppose I will be team 11, you'll be team 9, because obviously you have 9 higher in the pecking order, I have 11 higher in the pecking order. But yeah, it seems a fair top 3 if you ask me. But have we got it right? This is actually the point where you should get involved in the comments below. If you've watched to this point of the video, thank you so much. Would you consider hitting the like button, sharing this with a friend as well, and subscribe to the channel? Also, we'll leave a drop of 1 to 10 in the pinned comments of this video, and why not share your top 10 worst WrestleManias of all time? You can check out the best WrestleManias right now by checking out the side of your screen. And if you want to know how I would book WrestleMania 9, that is there as well. Big thanks to NXT for being on the video as always. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you for the next 10 count very soon here on YouTube.